Greetings, my dear viewer. You're on the channel The Price of Cheating. The channel is for those who appreciate traditional family values and condemn adultery. So be sure to subscribe to the channel. Let's get started. Ben sat opposite Grace at their usual table in the intimate Italian restaurant. The warm glow of candlelight and soft background music, which usually provided a sanctuary from their hectic routines, felt oppressively heavy tonight. A tangible tension lingered in the air. Grace's hands toyed nervously with the edge of her napkin, her gaze darting around the room but never settling on Ben. After years of being together, Ben knew her well enough to sense the unease beneath her surface. When Grace finally looked at him, her expression was conflicted, a mixture of apprehension and barely contained excitement. "I've been thinking," she began carefully, her voice calm but edged with a strange energy. "Maybe it's time we tried something different to reignite the spark." Ben blinked, caught off guard by her words. He managed a small, uncertain laugh. "Different? What exactly do you mean by that?" Grace hesitated, drawing a deep breath before continuing. "What if we allowed ourselves a free pass? Just one night. No strings attached, no consequences. A chance to explore something new." Her words hung heavily between them, unsettling and unfamiliar. Ben struggled to process her suggestion. "You mean you want to be with someone else?" he asked, keeping his voice steady despite the knot forming in his chest. "Not in a permanent way," she clarified with a casual shrug. "Just once, nothing serious." Grace added a light laugh, as though trying to diminish the weight of what she'd proposed, but her levity only deepened Ben's discomfort. Searching her eyes for regret or hesitation, he found only a flicker of eager anticipation, the same spark that used to be reserved for him. The realization was a bitter sting, yet Ben maintained his composure. "If that's really how you feel," he said quietly, "we can talk about it more at home." The rest of the evening passed in a strained silence. Grace seemed relieved, as though simply voicing her thoughts was a victory. Meanwhile, Ben wrestled with darker emotions. By the time they returned home, he was already crafting a plan. That night, as Grace slept soundly beside him, Ben stared at the ceiling, her words replaying endlessly in his mind. Years of trust and shared experiences felt reduced to a fleeting whim. Unable to bear his turmoil alone, Ben reached for his phone and messaged Rick, his closest confidant. Within moments, Rick called. "You don't sound like yourself," Rick said, concern evident in his tone. "What's going on?" Ben recounted the evening, his voice tinged with disbelief and hurt. Rick listened intently before responding with calm pragmatism. "This isn't about you, Ben. It's about her crossing a boundary. Take your time and think carefully before deciding your next move." Ben nodded, absorbing his friend's advice. "If she wants this," he murmured, "then I'll give it to her, on my terms." In the days that followed, Grace seemed lighter, almost buoyant. She mistook Ben's subdued response as acceptance, perhaps even approval. Her demeanor grew more affectionate, but her excitement for this newfound freedom was hard to miss. For Ben, however, her enthusiasm only deepened the wound. He began preparing for what he now saw as the inevitable. One evening, Ben broached the subject with an air of detachment. "Have you decided who you'd use your free pass on?" he asked. Grace looked momentarily startled before recovering with a nervous chuckle. "No one in particular," she said lightly. "I just thought it might be fun. Don't you ever feel stuck?" The word hit harder than Ben expected, but he masked his anger. "Not really," he replied smoothly. "But if that's how you feel, I understand." Inside, he was anything but calm. Quietly, he consulted a lawyer and took steps to secure his future, drafting separation papers and discreetly moving personal belongings to Rick's house under the guise of decluttering. When Grace announced the night she intended to use her pass, Ben kept his emotions in check. "Enjoy yourself," he said with unsettling composure, watching as she left, dressed to perfection and glowing with anticipation. The door clicked shut, and with it, something inside Ben solidified. Hours crawled by as he wrestled with a whirlwind of thoughts, each more painful than the last. Pouring himself a drink, his eyes settled on the remnants of their shared life, the photos, the mementos, the echoes of what they had built together. Those memories now felt sharp and jagged, cutting deeply. Grace returned in the early hours, her appearance disheveled, her makeup smeared, and her hair tousled. A faint blend of satisfaction and guilt played on her face. Ben met her with an unnervingly calm demeanor. "Did it give you what you were looking for?" he asked evenly. Grace faltered under his gaze, clearly unprepared for his calmness. "It was just one night," she said dismissively. "It doesn't change anything between us." The next morning, Ben confronted her over coffee. "So," he asked with deceptive lightness, "was your little experiment worth it?" Grace waved off the question with a laugh. "Ben, it was nothing. We're still us, right?" His expression hardened, and for the first time his composure cracked. "Are we? Do you have any idea what I've sacrificed for this marriage? Everything I've put into building our life together? And you threw it aside? For freedom?" Grace's silence spoke louder than words, but Ben pressed on. "You wanted space? Fine, take it, because now I will too." In the days that followed, Ben withdrew completely. His silence was deliberate, his actions methodical. Behind the scenes, he finalized his preparations. When everything was in place, he invited Grace back to the same restaurant where her suggestion had first shattered their bond. Sliding a folded document across the table, he fixed her with an unyielding stare. "What's this?" Grace asked hesitantly. "My answer to your quest for freedom," Ben replied calmly. As Grace unfolded the paper, her face turned pale. "This isn't what I wanted," she whispered. "I just wanted to shake things up. I still love you." Ben's eyes were cold, his voice firm. "Love doesn't look like this, Grace. You wanted freedom. Now you have it." His gaze was as unyielding and cold as ever. "Grace, love and loyalty aren't just convenient when they suit us. They're constants. You asked for freedom, and I'm giving it to you. This is your final reprieve." Without another word, Ben stood and walked away, leaving her at the table with trembling hands gripping the paper in front of her. For the first time in months, he felt a faint glimmer of release. The pain still clung to him, but it was now dulled by the certainty that he was ready to move forward. This moment marked the beginning of a journey he hadn't fully mapped out yet. In the days that followed, Grace's efforts to close the growing distance between them became tireless. Her messages carried a tone of desperation, tearful voicemails, a flurry of texts, and impassioned declarations that her pursuit of freedom had been meaningless. Ben listened to her words in silence, allowing her pleas to fade unanswered. Each attempt from her was met with the same unwavering indifference. Eventually, he packed up his belongings and moved into his friend Rick's apartment. The absence of his presence in their shared home left Grace hollow, surrounded by the remnants of what their life had been. She was consumed by regret, clinging to the fragments of a broken relationship. Meanwhile, Ben moved forward with quiet determination. He resolved that regret alone wasn't enough. She needed to truly understand the depth of her betrayal and feel the same pain she had inflicted. One evening, as he spoke with Rick, his friend voiced a hesitant question. "Are you sure this is what you want, Ben? Is this the path you really want to take?" Ben's reply was calm and certain. "She treated my trust like it didn't matter. Now she needs to know what it's like to feel discarded, to have her worth questioned. She has to face what she did to me." Rick paused, studying him, and finally nodded. "If this is what you've decided, I'm with you." With his plan in motion, Ben began making deliberate moves. Knowing Grace's social circle well, he pinpointed those friends who thrived on gossip and ensured his intentions would reach her. Through casual conversations with mutual acquaintances, he dropped subtle remarks about moving on and seeking someone who shared his values of loyalty. The whispers traveled quickly, and it wasn't long before they reached Grace. Overwhelmed by jealousy, fear, and uncertainty, Grace found herself forced to confront the idea that Ben might truly be moving forward. That evening, her texts poured in, each more frantic than the last. "Ben, we need to talk. If you're seeing someone else, I have to know. I still love you. I made a mistake, but we can fix this. Please call me." Ben read her messages in silence, refusing to respond. He let her stew in the void, mirroring the uncertainty she had created. Then, he delivered his final move. A carefully crafted social media post, filled with gratitude for a fresh start, hinted at finding someone who valued trust and commitment. The message was pointed and unmistakable. Grace's reaction was immediate. She flooded him with calls, each voicemail trembling with desperation. Hours later, Ben finally picked up the phone. "Ben, is it true? Are you really seeing someone else?" Her voice cracked as she spoke. His tone remained steady. "Why does it matter to you? You're the one who wanted freedom, remember?" "That's not what I meant," she pleaded, panic rising. "I thought we could still have us. I made a mistake, Ben. Please, I see that now. Come back to me." After a long pause, Ben answered with calm finality. "No, Grace, you made your choice. I offered you loyalty and commitment and you threw it away. Now you'll have to live with that." In the weeks that followed, Ben methodically dismantled the life they had built together. He contacted a realtor to sell their home, each step marking another layer of his healing. For Grace, every action was a sharp reminder of what she had lost. Eventually, Ben agreed to meet her one last time. He chose the Italian restaurant where she had first asked for a free pass. This time the air was devoid of warmth or sentimentality. Only the cold reality of a broken bond remained. Grace arrived looking fragile, her face shadowed by sleepless nights. She sat across from him, her hands trembling as she avoided his gaze. "Ben," she began, her voice strained. "I know I hurt you. I thought that freedom would bring me clarity, that I could come back and nothing would have changed. But I was wrong. I lost sight of what we had, and now I know I'll never find it again." Ben listened without a word, his expression unreadable. Her sorrow was undeniable, but it wasn't enough to erase the past. "Grace," he finally said, his voice even. "When you asked for that free pass, you weren't just asking for one night. You shattered everything we had built together. You traded our life for something fleeting, something you thought was more important than us. I've given you time to feel the weight of your decision. Now, I'm done." Tears streaked her face as she reached for his hand across the table. "Please, Ben, don't do this. I'll do anything to make it right. Just give me one more chance." Ben shook his head, his resolve unshaken. "You had your chance, Grace. You wanted a free pass, and now you have it. A free pass to move on without me." With that, he rose from the table and walked out, leaving her alone with the crushing weight of her choices. As Ben stepped into the crisp night air, a mixture of relief and melancholy settled over him. He had offered Grace every opportunity to honor his trust, but her decisions had made his path clear. Now, he was taking his own steps forward. For the first time since the night their relationship had fractured, Ben felt whole again. He had found strength in himself, rebuilt his sense of self-worth, and charted a new course for his life. As he walked away, the heavy burden of betrayal fell away, replaced by the liberating promise of hope and freedom. This concludes the story. If you like it, then put your powerful like and subscribe to the channel.